Imagine
Hi, we'd like to introduce you to Sher Gordon, who's with us. Gordon Cruises. Hi, Sherry, how are you?
Hi, Rick. Hi, team.
Hi,
Very
Sherry.
happy to be here.
It's wonderful to have you with us.
Thank you.
Would
And I'm sorry. And
Go right
Sherry's
ahead.
joining us all the way from Israel, right?
Yes, she is. How are things in
Yeah.
Israel?
Well, maybe we save it to a different conversation. But we are okay. Everything is okay, and I'm really happy to be here. And I'm very happy to be a part of this discussion and talk about the river cruise.
We're excited as well. Um, would you mind sharing with us, Sherry, just a little bit about how long you've been involved in river cruises, and a little bit about yourself?
Oh, okay. Well, I come from a family-owned company, same as you, Rick. So we have a long, history and heritage to go behind, and we have been in the river cruise industry for more than 30 years, actually. And we are proud to call ourselves an independent river cruise company. And we have been operating in this industry for so long, and our philosophy has always been to stay independent and not follow any single brand. And I think that since the beginning of the first river cruise cabin that I sold, I think back then we understood that the river cruise, first of all, it's an incredible product. Really, I think it really suits everyone. It answers what you wish for yourself for your perfect vacation. And once we get to know the product better, and we get to know, the players in the market and the river cruise industry in general, we really decided to put for ourselves the goal to always stay independent. And this allows us to really carefully curate a portfolio of ships and river cruise program that we believe are the best fit for our client. And the fact that we are flexible and being able to provide a large variety of ships and rivers and destinations really allows us to create a special package for any group and any request, and really ensuring a truly personalized experience for everyone.
I couldn't agree more.
Well, you have experienced some of our cruises, so you will be the first hand to say if what I'm saying is right or not. So I'm really happy that both of you are here. Both of you have been on our ships and have experienced our river cruise. So maybe you share from your experience. How was it to be on Golden Cruise ship, and how was it to be a part of a group on one of our ships?
Why don't you share a little bit first, Tim, on your experience?
Yeah, so we, Joni and I and Rick and Amy, a couple of other couples from the Imagine office, as well as Sherry and her brother Guy were on the cruise ship back in April. We had a great trip we left from Dusseldorf and we sailed all the way up to Amsterdam and then began our trip back to Dusseldorf, and it was unbelievable. I know Joni, my wife, has been on a couple of trips with us and traveled with Imagine to Israel a couple of times, and I know whenever I reached out to her and asked her about coming on this one, she was like, I'm not sure. You guys run pretty hard sometimes.
We do.
And but she came on this cruise, this trip. We did the cruise, and as soon as she got back, she said, "We've got to do this again." So, like Sherry said, it just blends everything from sights to see, different cathedrals. We did the tulip tour, which we got to see all the flowers. It was tulip season, which was just amazing and beautiful. But it blends all of the sights. It blends the fellowship piece of that we get to spend spending time fellowshipping on the cruise and doing different things like that. So the food, I could probably talk for the whole hour and you
No,
never
that's
get
fine.
a chance to say anything.
That's perfect.
So, but I know you did one back in September, which
We
I
did.
think was a different one. That one was, you visited places like Strasbourg and
We
Heidelberg.
did. We did. We started, it seems like almost a blur in a sense, but we started in Switzerland, which was phenomenal, and we had a chance to do Zurich and Lake Lucerne. We had a chance to do Strasbourg, like you said. We had opportunity to be in Germany. Truly a remarkable, that was our first experience. We've been, my wife and I, Amy, and myself had the opportunity to actually do 3 river cruises in the last year alone. So the one that you spoke about, the one that we went to Switzerland and France and Germany, and then just recently, literally just a week ago, we got back from Portugal and Spain. That was incredible, a completely different product, a completely different experience. And what made it so unique, not just the fact that the river cruise ships or the boats are so beautiful, and like you said, the food and the service, but the atmosphere that we had an opportunity to see along the Douro River was absolutely gorgeous. And I think part of what makes that so unique is it's not just seeing the vineyards on the river itself, along with olive trees and so much more. There was no commercial ships, and that really made a big difference. You didn't see the barges and so forth. They were either river cruises or private boats, and it was quite an experience. So
Yeah. So you did that, you did the Switzerland and all of that last September.
Correct.
And then you were just recently on Spain and Portugal this past, and then we were on there in April. So again, I can't say enough good things about it. The cruise was top notch. Sherry and them doing an amazing job putting the programs together.
yes, you do.
And with just a lot of fun. There's a lot of fun, a lot of learning, a lot of food. I think we don't want to talk about that at all. Where the food was just gourmet dining every meal that we had. I think in the evening times we had 7-course meals. So you got to choose from everything from appetizer and salad and soup and main course and dessert. And many times, I think you and I ordered more than just one, right?
Oh, we had multiple dishes. At least I can say that. So
I would say it's not the best. It's not the best time to start your new diet.
you, Sherry, because we're really privileged to have you with us. Not only you're an expert in this field, and I know that it's your passion and your love, and it's so much more than just work. But if I had to ask you, why consider a river cruise? I mean, there's so many other types of cruises out there. Why a river cruise? What makes it unique?
Well, I think that, the first thing that we say to someone that asks us exactly the same question, and then we say, it's not about the destination, it's about how you experience it. And just imagine yourself, sitting comfortably in your outside cabin, okay, watching the ever-changing scenery as you glide by so close to shore that you can almost touch the grass by your hand if you just reach out from the window. And I think people sometimes maybe confuse the ocean ships and the river ships. And I think the biggest advantage of the river ship is the fact that you are inside Europe major cities.
Right.
And you're always close by. And the fact that you're close by to shore has so many meanings, besides being, very comfortable and very easy to just get off the ship, go to a tour and come back. It also makes people feel more safe. We all experienced 5 years ago the pandemic, and we all heard about the stories about the ship being stuck in the middle of the ocean, not being able to rescue the people, and so on. And there can also be some medical situation. So on a river ship, wherever you are always able to just move the ship and dock whenever needed. So I'm not only talking about the advantage of this incredible product, I'm also talking about safety and feel that you are really inside the city. And, with a river cruise, we are fortunate to be able to dock inside the city. So if you want to visit cities like Vienna, Budapest, Paris, it's just a few steps that from where you dock with your ship, you just get off the ship and you walk inside the city. Where with the ocean ships, you mainly dock in major docking areas, which are usually outside of the big cities, and then you need to take a taxi or a bus or whatever, but it's not reachable by foot.
Right.
And I think that this is one of the biggest advantages of this product. And also, if you wrap it, think about it. You have your hotel, transportation, and restaurant and evening entertainment all in one place, moving with you from city to city with no need to pack or unpack more than once, no need to think about where am I going to have dinner tonight or where am I going to tour tonight, today. And all of this allows you to a seamless, relaxed journey wrapped in a five-star holiday experience. I mean, what can we ask more?
Yeah.
For those of you that are still watching and joining us, we've got Sher Gordon with Gordon Cruises with us. She's actually talking a little bit about why a river cruise, and I believe what I heard in regards to what you just shared was also the word would be flexibility. And that's one of the things that a lot of the groups as well as individuals really love on a river cruise is the fact that there is some flexibility. Even though you have your 3 meals a day included, and again, we keep talking about food and it seems like that's the main topic, but the reality is you have the opportunity to have your meals on the ship, but also if you decide while you're at port and you're in some of these different cities, if you don't want to come back, for example, for lunch and go back to the ship, you can actually just stay there in the city and enjoy some of the local cuisine, which we would encourage you to do.
Sure.
That's part of the experience, and for me, I love just to sit and people watch, which is always exciting. But tell us a little bit more about how a river cruise is different from some of the large ships and in general, just to experience like how many different levels there are, what's the size in regards to how many people, and I know that there's different sizes, but just so people who are not familiar with river cruises, what can they anticipate in regards to the size or number of travelers?
So if I would need to really describe a river ship compared to an ocean ship, I would use intimacy, flexibility, and also I would say that it gives you an inside access to the, as you were just saying about how you love to just sit, in the restaurant or in the cafe shop and just, watch the people walking by and just maybe imagine their life story. So think about that, how easy it is when you do a river cruise. A river cruise ship, just to give some information. So ocean ship has more than 1,000 to 2,000 people, usually passengers on board, on top of the crew and everybody else. A river ship has usually up to 140, 150 passengers. And then you have about 50 crew members. So overall, we're talking about a really small group of people. All cabins on a river ship are outside cabins. This is very important to know because on the ocean ship, you have so many categories and you have a lot of cabins that doesn't have any window because they are inside the ship. This does not exist on a river ship. All cabins are outside cabin. You just need to choose the size of your window. Also, all cabins are above sea level, which is also important. So even what we call the lower deck, I always say to people, if you stand in the cabin in the lower deck and you would stand in the same place exactly inside the water in the river, so the water would reach, I would say, up to your knees. Okay, so still the majority of your body will be outside of the water and you can enjoy the view. So there are no inside cabins. All cabins have a window. Some can be open, some cannot, but all of them has an outside a window where you can see the view. We also have, in the river cruise, we usually have between 1 or 2 restaurants. They can serve all passengers at the same time. There's no 2 or 3 sitting for dinners like you have on the ocean ships. It's pretty easy going, and you can choose every evening where you would like to eat. And then we have the main lounge, which we usually have music every evening. Well, you saw some of our entertainment. We try to bring in every river, at least once or twice, a local band or something that will be typical to the area. By the way, Tim, you were talking about the kitchen and the food in general.
Yeah.
So one of the things that we always try to do is have at least one dish every day that is a local dish.
Right.
So people can also experience the local flavors, which is also an important thing. And I think that really intimacy is the main key here. Sometimes the ocean shift, even though I think they are, of course, they are an incredible type of holiday, but sometimes for some people, I can say for myself as well, they are a bit intimidated because you get lost. There's so many places to go, and there's so many floors, and there's so many restaurants and things to do that you get lost. And on the river ship, it's small. I mean, it takes you a day, and you probably will know most of the other passengers. At least you would recognize their faces, which becomes really nice. We sometimes hear from people that they feel like they're sitting in, their friend's living room and just, chatting and having a glass of wine, and which is also really nice. I would say one very, very important advantage that we have on the river cruise is the all-inclusive package.
Right.
Uh, when you do an ocean cruise, you usually buy the cruise, and then you need to decide. You take this excursion package, you add those tours, you add the drinking package, you add the Wi-Fi, or everything has to be bought separately, and it reaches really high cost at the end of the day, which you were not aware of at the beginning. And with the river cruise, we are very clear from the beginning. Everything is included, like everything. Drinking all inclusive, Wi-Fi, gratuity for the crew. Everything is within the price. There are no surprises, no extras, nothing. Everything is already there, so you know how much you're paying, and you don't need to add anything else. Um, yeah, so I mean, those would be the main things. And you were talking about flexibility. Once you're docking in the city, it makes it super easy to just, let's say that you go to the tour in the morning with the group, with the tour leader, and then, during lunch, the group will return for lunch on board, but you want to stay. But the ship is like maybe 10 minutes by taxi or sometimes 10 minutes walking. So you would feel comfortable to just stay in the city and go back whenever you want. So it really allows you flexibility and to be independent, which you really cannot do when you're in an ocean ship.
Yeah. Sherry,
Yep.
Sherry, what's the so everything has sounded amazing, and we've already been able to experience it. What is the trend for river cruises right now? Is that something that is you see a high level of it increasing, the popularity of it? How are y'all seeing that work?
Okay, so I would say we see some trends that become more and more popular in the past few years.
Mm-hmm.
We see people more interested in the rivers that are going to the small towns and small city. If we are thinking about the Mosul tour, for example. So the Mosul cruise go to those tiny, beautiful small towns along the river,
Right.
which probably most of the people have never been there before because most of them are not really known for tourists. But when you cross there with the river, you reach really incredible people. And Rick, I remember that you and Amy were on the Rhine cruise, and I think both of you told me that one of the highlights was crossing the Lorelei Cliff, where all the stories and everything, and you reach Wudesheim and all those small, beautiful towns. That was something so impressive for you to experience.
It really
And
was.
so, I mean, I think that also the combination that we offer on most of the rivers, so you have, the big cities like Vienna and Budapest, but you also have those small little towns. So this creates really a perfect blend of places that you visit. And I can say also that we have now really a lot of interest in river cruises, not in Europe necessarily. So, we have the Nile cruise in Egypt, which is unbelievable. I've done it myself a year ago, and it was incredible.
It is, without a shadow of a doubt.
Yes, well, you did it as well. You know it. It's a beautiful program. We have the Mekong, Vietnam, and we combine it with Cambodia. So we do a tour and a cruise together. So all those exotic destinations are also picking up. What we also see is people doing a pre and post tours. So we have, for example, we have groups now, Imagine groups that are going to do the Rhine cruise with a pre-tour in Switzerland. And we have Danube group doing a pre-tour in Prague. So all those options are really easy to reach because everything is so easily reachable and it's very short distance within the destination.
The question that we get asked, and it's a loaded question, is so when is the best time of year to travel?
Oh my God, that's very, very, yeah, that's a difficult question to ask. I would say that me personally, I like to avoid, the peak season where the all the places are so packed and you see millions of tourists. Of course, it depends on each one, the personal dates of holiday. I think that for me personally, I love going to the river cruises in Europe during fall time. So October would be a perfect month to travel. The colors of the leaves are incredible. And then also the tourists are already, most of them are already gone, and it's more quiet and more relaxing.
Right,
And the second of my favorite period is Christmas time.
right.
It's so beautiful during Christmas season, from end of November till mid of December before Christmas, actual holiday. Everything is so decorated, and it's a festive season. Yeah.
Can I interrupt you there and ask, can you share a little bit about the Christmas market? I know that we're getting more and more inquiries almost on a daily basis of individuals as well as tour leaders asking, how do I begin planning? And I want to do something with the the Christmas market. But a lot of people aren't familiar with it. So can you share a
Yeah.
little bit about what the Christmas market is?
So during the Christmas time, so we start at the last week of November. Our cruises start on the last week of November because this is the time that most Christmas markets are open in most major cities in Europe.
Okay.
And it goes through, I would say, December 20th. So we finish before the actual holiday starts. And then during those 3 weeks, we have incredible, beautiful Christmas markets throughout the cities of mainly on the Rhine and Danube. So if we're talking about the Rhine cruise, for example, so Strasbourg, I think in France, is one of the most beautiful places to be during Christmas time. And we have on the Danube, Vienna and Budapest. And there is a certain magic during those times when you travel and you go to those cities and you see this huge, like a market hall, and then all those small shops and vendors standing there and selling this small local gifts, and everybody, of course, is drinking this special glühwein, the red hot wine
Yes.
with all those spices inside. So yeah, and of course we decorate the ship as well, and we do some special activity on board. So it's all about those this beautiful holiday, and it's really, really an incredible experience.
Can I ask you a couple of questions? Can you maybe highlight a little bit? We've got a few groups that are already booked that are planning to do the Paris to Normandy. And what should they experience? What's a little unique about that particular program and that river and so forth?
So I think this is really a unique itinerary. First of all, it starts and ends in Paris. So for sure, Paris is a highlight for everybody, and we try to really, I mean, again, depend on the group request, but we always offer to stay a few more nights in Paris after or before, so we can do a more intensive tour in Paris and combine some museums and some other sites in the city. Of course, everybody who comes to Paris wants to stay at least 2 or 3 nights.
Right.
Then we have, the Normandy day, the 2 days of the D-Day. I mean, those are the really important days with all the history, and we share the stories, and we go and visit the museum, and we hear about everything that was going on there during this time. And this is really a very emotional 2 days for everybody who travels during for this itinerary. And before and after, we have those beautiful small cities where we visit the Giverny,
Okay.
gardens and of Claude Monet, and we visit some beautiful castles and museums. So you really have, a taste of everything. So you have a taste of the big city, the history, and some art and beautiful sights. So it is a special itinerary. And ships are smaller, which is also something to say. The ships in France in general are smaller than the Rhine and the Danube. So we are talking about, I would say, 110, 120 passenger maximum, which also gives a more intimate feeling and, make, make it, making it something a bit more special, I would say.
I gotcha. Can you also talk a little bit about the Elbe River and some of the things that we have an opportunity to see not only on that river, which makes it a little unique. A lot of times people refer to it kind of almost like a Reformation tour or a little bit of a highlights in that regards, and some of the pros and cons being the Elbe River.
First of all, the Elba River is a very unique river. It's a very narrow river, and it's very much affected by the weather. And the level of water is changing constantly, meaning we can only sail there either at the very beginning of the season, which is April until maybe beginning of May, and then later in November and December. So we are talking about a very limited period where we can sail. And this is why the demand is so high and the capacity is so limited.
Right.
Of course, the highlight is Berlin and Prague at the beginning and at the end. There's so much to say about those cities. But as you said, it really becomes as a Reformation tour. You have Dresden and you have all those cities in Germany that are along this river, that every city within itself has so much history and so much to say. And I mean, you have heard that from the pastors and from all your audience how interesting this tour is for them, and how I mean they are talking about groups, and we have constant demand for this tour. I would say if you ask me about this tour, if someone is planning to do it, so he should really plan as early as possible, because we already see that we are facing some, the demand is high and the capacity is very limited.
That's great. I know we've had a couple of questions about food again. We go back to food a little bit. And I know we've had some experience with this, but can you speak to special dietary needs, such as gluten-free or celiac disease, those types of things?
Okay, so we serve 3 meals on board, and also we have an afternoon coffee and cake, and we have a late night snack. So basically, there are no there's no option that more than 3 hours you won't eat something. Okay, there's always food around you. We always have a choice. Okay, in every meal you can choose between meat, fish, or vegetarian dish. And there is always what we call always available, which is a chicken breast or a salad or olive oil pasta, which is something that is pretty, common to everybody. We can accommodate food diets like gluten-free, sugar-free, lactose-free. For all of those, we have options. We need to be informed, of course, in advance, but there's always possibilities for all of them. We also can accommodate any type of allergy. Someone doesn't eat peanuts or celery or any kinds of greens, and we had everything. We can basically accommodate almost every request. We just need to people to be aware that it's one kitchen. So it's everything that is done with the same kitchen. So if someone has really strong allergy or something that is more than just some sensitivity, we really need to know in advance in order to be able to offer him a proper alternative. We have in most of our ships 2 dining options. So there is the main restaurant, which we serve always breakfast, lunch, and dinner. And there is the bistro. And we have experienced together the bistro, which is very nice.
We love the bistro.
Yeah, I think the bistro is your favorite, right?
It is, without a shadow of a doubt.
I think after 3 or 4 days of like high cuisine, you really just need a good burger.
Cheeseburger, great cheeseburger.
Incredible burgers, yeah.
Or grilled chicken sandwich, grilled cheese with bacon, things like that.
Yeah, exactly. Simple, good, comforting food, I would call it like this.
Yeah. And I want to just talk a little bit more. I know we had someone that was on the cruise, a good friend that was on the cruise with us, that dealt with gluten-free and the
And celiac.
celiac disease.
Yep.
And the staff was amazing. They were very attentive. In fact, they were typically bringing out and coming and visiting her earlier in the day whenever she would be there and finding out what she wanted to have for dinner.
Yep.
So they were very attentive and made sure that she was taken care of. So yeah, I agree with all of those things.
One of the things that they did too was they actually brought out the menu, let's say for the dinner time at breakfast, so they could actually see what the options were, and they could actually say, we can make this meal or this one for you that's celiac friendly. I know that they bake their own bread on the ships as well.
Yeah.
They did everything they could, because we actually had more than one that
Yeah.
actually wanted it, and they were in shock that they could do that. So anything that's a special request in that sense, or special needs, like you said, as long as we know about it in advance, we'll do everything we can to make sure that we can confirm it. So that's great.
I think
One thing that's a
also-
little different, and I want to talk to, because it's really important, physical limitations and what you need to be able to do in order to be on a river cruise. Would you mind just talking a little bit about that? Because we know how important that is if you're going to consider going on a river cruise.
Sure.
Yes, this is a very important topic to talk about. So, river cruises are accessible to people that are independent, meaning that they can walk independently and they can climb stairs independently. This is very important to emphasize this. Unfortunately, most of the river ships today cannot accommodate wheelchairs or handicapped people. We can accommodate them in terms of the cabin will fit them, but the problem is, and you have experienced that before, one of the most, I would say it's an experience on a river ship, is that sometimes we need to do double or triple parking, meaning that we would like to get to shore, but we are docked after or behind another ship which is already arrived there before us. And this is something that happens all the time. And it's not a problem because you can just cross from one ship to the other and then you reach shore. But sometimes, in order to cross from one ship to the other, you need to go to the sun deck. Now, every ship has an elevator. The elevator goes to all 3 floors, which are inside the ship. But there's no elevator who can reach the sun deck, meaning that if you want to go to the sun deck, or if you have to in order to leave the ship, then you need to climb, I would say about 10 or 12 stairs. And you need to be able to do it on your own. And then you cross to the other ship, and then you would need to also use the stairs to get off the other ship and go to shore. Also important to remember is that during the land part, during the shore excursion, we're traveling in small towns of Europe, and those the roads are sometimes with narrow stones, and they're not really flat and easy to walk on. So a person needs to be able again to walk independently, sometimes to climb a bus, get off a bus. So yeah, I would say we are not, that this product is not for, it's not a challenging product, okay? It suits everyone that can walk and climb stairs by himself.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
And I think you even have a limitation in age too, right? There's no children under a certain age that are allowed.
Well, there's no limitation for age, but there are no family cabins. Okay, you can only accommodate 2 people in one cabin. There are no triple cabins. Also, the type of activities that we do on board, I would say that they are not suitable for children in most cases. I mean, they just might get bored. But we did have a lot of groups that, the parents came with the children. And if the children are, I would say, like teenagers, okay, and then as I said before, we are docking in different cities every day. And, if you're in Vienna, I mean, everybody would enjoy Vienna. It doesn't really matter if it's a tour or they just take a bike or they cycle or they do whatever they want. And if I already mentioned the bicycles. So this is also something important to say because we cannot only eat, we also need to stay, fit. So there is a small gym in most ships. So you have a treadmill and also you have a sauna. And there are bicycles that you can use free of charge and just, choose to cycle throughout the city. So this is also something important for people to know.
Yeah, I know I saw Rick a lot of times in the gym.
Oh yeah, that's my place.
Oh yeah,
Anybody who
everyone.
knows me, that is where I spend the majority of my time. So,
Yeah.
Yeah, it's a great. Everything is amazing. The small gym they have. I think they have a little spa, which I know
Yeah.
several people took advantage of massages and different things like that. I don't know if you want to speak to some of the amenities that are on board the ship there.
Sorry. What was that?
The amenities that are on board the ship, so the spa and different things like that people can take
Yeah,
advantage of.
so we have the gym and we have the spa. Sometimes it's a sauna. Sometimes you can order, like a spa treatment. On some of the ships, we have like a walking area on the sun deck, so people are jogging during the sailing hours, which is pretty nice. And we have the bicycles and we always offer people to use them. It's free, and if they don't want to join the tour with the group or just to do whatever they want, so they can just take the bicycle and just cycle to the city. Most of the European cities are well paved with bicycle routes, so it's pretty easy to do it. And then they can just enjoy a nice, easy cycling along the river or inside the cities, and just go back and relax on board. So yeah, that is a very nice option.
Yeah, I know that a lot of people ride bikes in Europe. In fact, they have paths that are completely dedicated to that. In fact, probably the best to avoid the bikers even than it is to avoid the cars and things
Absolutely.
over there. So, but I know we had a couple of people that took advantage of that and rode the bikes and got to see the sights, got to spend the extra time in the cities instead of coming back to the ship. So I think that's a huge bonus to being able to do these types of cruises. You talked a little bit about the Elbe River having water restrictions. We've had a question come through. Are there any of the other rivers that have those type restrictions that we need to make sure that whenever we're planning tours that we avoid those times of season, or is it just the Elbe that has those restrictions?
I would say like this. After being 30 years in the river cruise industry, a person needs to remember that the river is a river. It's not a solid ground, okay? And a river behaves like it is. It's not an ocean, it's not a sea, it's not affected by the weather, okay? So you won't have waves, and there are no seasick on a river, okay? Never. This I can guarantee. So if someone is concerned and he said, no, I'm afraid to have seasick, this is not an option. But we are affected by the level of the water. So we have cases of low water, we have cases of high water. It means that it can affect the program. We know how to adjust to every situation, but people need to be aware that once they book a river cruise, they need to be flexible and understanding if there might be a change. Of course, we will do our best to offer alternative or to accommodate, and we always do. We are very much professional and experienced in this field. And sometimes we just need to trust the captain. He knows what he's doing, and he sees the river. He knows how the river behaves, and he's the boss. So he takes the decision, and we just need to follow. But at the end, if it means that you just spend some more time on board and on the ship, so I mean, come on. I mean, it can be worse. You're not stuck in a hotel room. You are in the ship. You are enjoying the scenery. You're having a glass of wine. I mean, it's okay.
Yeah,
It's
I
more.
never felt uncomfortable at one time. Going through the lock system, so you go through quite a few locks whenever you're on the rivers, up to different levels or down to different levels on the river. Everything was amazing to see. Just the level of synchronicity that happened between captains that were running up and down the river. I know we would stop while somebody else passed and then changing, and I know the captains work well together. And I never felt like I was trapped, like you said. You were on a boat, you got to visit if you did have some downtime, or maybe we were coming into port later than planned or whatever. It was always great to just visit with the people that we were traveling with.
And I think that's one of the highlights. People love the opportunity to just have fellowship and community. I know that some of the different groups that we've had have asked, can they have a meeting room if they want to meet with their people? And can you share a little bit how we can, confirm that for them, the things to make it easy and a little different?
Okay, so the ship, as I said, it's a small venue, okay? So we don't have a lot of open space for lectures or for presentation. What we usually do, and this is something that we do almost on a weekly basis, is we just use the bistro or we use the restaurant area. As long as we, again, know it in advance, we can plan it with the onboard crew, so we won't disturb the working hours while they need to prepare the restaurant before and after. But we saw that when you were there, and in all of our cruises, usually during the afternoon, we can use the bistro. Now we are making sure that there will be equipment that you can use. So there's going to be a projector and a screen for you to use. It's not a professional lecture room, that needs to be said, but it is enough to have a small meeting, some discussion, some nice presentation, definitely. And it's a very nice and intimate space that a group of 30, 35 can sit together and talk and really see some slideshow if needed, or just have a discussion or a lecture. This is something that we do a lot. So it's either the pastor or the cruise director who gives a lecture, whoever wants to. There's not a problem to do it. We just, again, need to plan it in advance. Another thing that we do, and it depends on the size of the group, we can use the main lounge as well for presentation. When we do that, because we cannot seal the area only for the group, it's used by other passengers, we are what we are doing is asking the cruise director or the pastor to use the audio system for the group, and then he can give a lecture using the audio system, and then we do not disturb other guests that are sitting in the lounge, and it works perfectly. So this is another option to a more bigger area to do the lecture. So we are just sitting in one area of the lounge, having the lecture, having the conversation together using the box system, and then other guests can just sit in the lounge and enjoy their time.
Let me ask you another question in regards to the sizes of the groups. What would you consider to be the smallest size to be considered a group? And then what would be the largest if we plan far enough in advance? And some of the things in regards to customization, because if we're, for example, taking the entire ship or a portion of it, or even just to customizing the excursions at different ports that we're visiting, would you mind touching on that?
Okay, so to your first question about the group size, so we can operate any group size. I would recommend to keep it between 15 and up to, I would say, 40, 42, so no more than one bus, okay? I would say that would be the ideal size of a group. Now the ships are small, and you were right to ask what is the limitation of cabins and how much we are flexible on that.
Right.
So the average, I would say, group allotment that we allow a group to have is usually up to 20 cabins. But if we know enough in advance, then we can offer more cabins. It might be mixed categories. This is also something important to say. So a group cannot be only 20 cabins on the middle deck, so we mix it between middle and upper deck. But the advantage, again, on a river ship is that anyway, 90% of the cabins are exactly the same. The difference would be the size of the window and the location on the ship, but there is zero difference between the infrastructure of the cabin, the size, everything is the same. You have the suites, which are bigger, but the majority of the cabins are normal cabins with the same size, and they look exactly the same. Now, regarding customizing the program, I think that if I would say what is our biggest advantage is exactly this. There is no one program fits all. Okay, we really, and this is why we mainly work with groups. We want to sit with the pastor, listen to what he wants, or with the tour leader, and really do our best to accommodate their needs. Because if you dock a full day in Budapest, there are maybe 100 of options of what to do, and there is no reason why we should like force you to do the standard program if you are an art person, if you are more into going to the religious sites, if you want to do an architect tour. There are so many, and we know all of them. We have a huge chain of local partners. Um, every destination, we have our office to operate everything that we would like to do, from really crazy experience to culinary options and wine tasting and visit the locals, and really the options are unlimited. So we usually offer and present in our website, in the Imagine website, we offer the common program, but this is all completely flexible, and we are able to change and customize everything. Now you are talking about chartering the entire ship.
Right.
So if you have a pastor or two, or a tour leader that has really that can, let's say, fill two groups together, or maybe three, and it, because it's small, it should be pretty easy for him, let's say, to reach 100 or 120 people. And then really, I wouldn't say the sky is the limit, because we're still limited to the docking places, but overall we can really do everything. And on top of completely customizing the program, we can change the meal, the dining hours. We can bring entertainment on board. We can change the hours of the programs in on the ship and outside the ship. We can really do everything, and we are very much experienced in doing really every land program in all of the destinations that we are sailing.
Well, I know that we've got some groups already booked for next year, for May, and for example, one of them already is selling their second bus. So they've already filled one bus, they're now in their second bus that they're filling, and then in addition to that, we also have another group on that same date. So essentially, we might have the entire ship, which is an Imagine Gordon cruise entirely just for us.
Yeah.
And that also gives us a lot of flexibility. And so we can do that for different ministries. We can do it for different pastors or group leaders. If somebody wanted to do a seminar based on that, we could take the entire ship if we plan it out properly, and for teaching, things like that. So really, as you said, the sky's the limit.
Yep. And I would also say something about the duration of the cruise. So the standard cruise is a 7-night cruise. We have some longer ones of 8 and 9 or 10 nights. In the winter season, we usually do a bit shorter programs, so
Right.
6 nights, I would say. But what I would like to say, because you mentioned seminars or more like the official conventions, or not a regular standard holiday cruise. So between the season, like in the shoulder season, if we're talking about the beginning of the season, March, and beginning of April, also during the winter season, talking about January, February, up to mid-April, and also later in November and December, we can also create a shorter cruise program. So you can do a 4-night cruise, which would be like a European city break, and then combine it maybe with another destination. We combine it with Israel, you combine it with Greece, you combine it with Italy, or any other combination. So the cruise doesn't have to be always the 7 nights. So if someone is interested in a more shorter option, so this is also something that we can do, and we have done those really great short programs. So also something to consider.
That's perfect.
Yeah. I know you were talking about, Sherry, the earlier the better to get started on planning. What is best time frame to plan these? How duration to time? Is it 12 to 18 months out away from the tour? Those types of.
Well, as early as possible, I would say. Well, Rick already knows that. I mean, 25 is selling really rapidly, and we already have a lot of dates that are completely sold out. We are now talking about some groups for the Christmas market cruises, and some of them are also already starting to get completely booked.
Yes.
Very soon, I hope we'll be ready, at least for the first 6 months of 26. So we will open this also for bookings. I think, Tim, if I would answer your question, I would say if you know that your group would like to do the more standard program, then okay, then I would say try to do it a year in advance. But if you know that you want a customized product, if you know that you want to add extra nights, extra hotels, pre-tour, post-tour, you want to visit, like you remember, Rick, on the Rhine cruise in Amsterdam, we had some of your groups interested in visiting the Anne Frank house.
Right.
Now, the Anne Frank house, you need 6 months in advance to make the booking. So if the group is interested in doing some special sites, I would say the really the sooner the better.
Yeah. And we've got groups that are already beginning to start planning into 2026, so we're already
Correct.
looking at some of those dates. So I don't think that it's ever too early to do it, like you said. And then, of course, there's a benefit to planning your tour at least 18 months out. We offer some different benefits for the tour hosts and different things, but never too early to begin planning. If it is further out, then maybe we have information. We can always reach out to Sherry, and she's always quick to respond and get back information as fast as possible. And if you've ever worked with Imagine, Gordon is the same way as far as responding back in
Absolutely.
a very quick response. In fact, the bar has been set high.
Yeah, they're incredible.
So,
Sherry, you and your team are amazing. One of the things that maybe we haven't highlighted is how you have a cruise manager, director, or even as a guide who's with you from beginning to end. Can we talk a little bit about that? Because I know that's a question that comes up in planning and so forth. How does that normally work?
So, for someone who is familiar with the river cruise industry, people know that if you book a river cruise with any, the American Cruise Lines or any other company, so you just join a cruise, and every day you have a tour with the local guide, and you just, you switch. The guides are changing every day. With our tours, it doesn't work like that. We have Gordon Cruise Director, Gordon Tour Guide, that he is with the group from the minute they land until they go home. So he always arrives a day before the group in order to be ready to welcome them at the airport, and you have experienced that yourself.
Right.
And all of our guides are super professional and have all the knowledge about the sites and the locations that we are visiting. But more important is all of them are professional and experienced in guiding a group on a river ship. And it's not only knowing how to operate on a river ship, it's also how to operate if something happens or if there is a need to change. And as you know, as it is, when we have so many groups on board the rivers, the ships, and in different rivers, there's always something that can happen. I mean, the ship is arriving a bit later, so you need to call the bus driver and tell him where to wait. All of our guides, all of our tour leaders, they know all the ports. They know all the small secrets on where it's the right place to dock and which side of the river you get, easy access to the city. So this is also an important thing to say. And they are with the group from the beginning until the end. You've met some of them, and we also are now going to have some of the Imagine tour leaders that are going to join now our river cruises, and they will become a part of our team as they know your clients so well. So it's just a great advantage for us as well.
yeah.
So yeah, this is an important part of the cruise. So they have their, we call it, their mommy and daddy. They have them with them all the time.
Well, people want to know that, and
Sure.
that's gives them a little bit of security and comfort, a little bit of ease of mind, so things like that. As we begin to wrap up, can I ask you, is there anything that you would like to add? I know that we're going to have this opportunity again in the future, I do want to say thank you for taking all the time and discussing it with us. You've been incredible, Sherry, and Sherry Gordon Cruises is one of the best in the industry. And is there anything that you can add before we wrap up?
I think that we didn't say the most important thing is what is the biggest advantage of us working here together, Gordon and Imagine. And I think that together we create a river cruise product that is the perfect product for your audience. And the reason that we collaborate together is that we know how to deliver the best river cruise product, and you know how to customize it perfectly to your clientele.
Right.
And the combination of those two advantages really create the perfect product for your customers. So I would say, I mean, they just need to book. That's it. We are there for them, answer their questions, whatever they need. Really, we hardly say no. There's like, we like challenges, and we would do everything to create their own product and their own program. And yeah, let's, you know.
I know we had a question came on. What are the ages of the ships that we're using?
When was it built, you mean?
Like the ship's age, right? How old or new are they?
Okay, so I try to choose ships which are not more than 12 years on the rivers. Of course, with the condition that they have been refurbished and there have been maintenance work doing in the shipyard at least once a year. So we keep a very high standard in our older ships and also in our newer ships, of course. An important thing to say is that we are going to become green in most of our ships in the upcoming years, which is a very important thing. So we try to keep the planet clean as well, which is, I know that is something that is important for many people. And it really doesn't matter if the ship is 10 years old or 12 years old or 5 years old. The level of service that you would get is always the same. You keep the same level of service, the same level of food, and overall, the ship will be always well maintained. There are advantages of newer ships, there are advantages of the smaller ones, but the level of service and the level of the product will always be the same.
That's perfect. Anything you'd like to add while we've got Sherry?
No, it's great. It's good to see you again, Sherry.
Good to see you too.
Look forward to
We
spending
are
some
waiting
time.
for you in the next cruise, Tim.
He's
I'm
got to
looking
bring his
forward to
dancing
it.
shoes.
You're going to bring your dancing shoes.
Hey, we had a great time.
Absolutely.
We had a great time. That
We
was
had a great
that was a lot
time.
of fun. So
Yeah, we discovered the team is a great dancer, so we're waiting for the next time.
Absolutely. I think we need to actually charter a ship and maybe just do something that really specializes for dancing.
Yeah.
In addition to maybe seeing, you know, the vineyards and castles, highlight that with some dancing shoes and Tim
With the
Parker
dancing shoes.
highlighting and teaching us some of the dances.
I like that idea.
So
Absolutely. I think Amy would like this idea as well.
I think she would.
absolutely, absolutely. Sherry,
Yeah.
I can't thank you enough. Thank you for your time. It's a
been a
pleasure
pleasure.
as always. We love working with you, and
Yeah.
I know that we'll
Thank
be
you.
talking again very soon. Anything you want to close out with?
Just to say thank you. It's been a pleasure. Thank you for having me. And yeah, we are here.
Wonderful. Please say thanks to your team.
Yeah.
They're amazing.
Yeah, I will.
Thank you,
so
Sherry.
much.
Thank you. Good night.
Good night.
Go on. I can't speak highly enough about them. It's often difficult to explain that until somebody experiences it.
Right.
But these fit the bill for so many different things. Like we said, from sightseeing to being able to spend time together. I mean, it's just I can't say enough good things about the river cruises. And we have the opportunity to, like Sherry had talked about a little bit, and we've already planned some of those, where we have pre-cruise trips,
Right.
where we've actually got a group that's flying into Geneva.
Yep.
Next year. They're going to spend some time in Geneva. They're going to visit Bern, and then into Zurich,
Right.
and then they board the ship in Basel, and then go to Amsterdam. So they get to do that, and then they're doing a post extension, an optional extension at the end of it, where they're flying to Berlin,
Right.
doing Berlin, Wittenberg, Erfurt, doing into Frankfurt. So some amazing opportunities to add. As always, Imagine is completely customizable on the tours. So we really just need to find out what you want to do, and we work with trying to put all that together.
Yep.
So
That's incredible. I can tell you, if you're even considering wanting to lead a trip or join a tour, please contact us, reach out to us. Best way for them to reach out to us is?
reach out. You can send an email to sales@ittworld.com, or you can give us a call at 863-709-9208. We're happy to answer any questions. I personally love to talk to you. We've got some guys who prefer to send emails, but hey, whatever you'd like to do, we can cover that either by sending that email to sales@ittworld.com or giving us a call at that phone number. So.
In addition to that, if you're a future tour leader, a pastor, or somebody who wants to put a trip together, please reach out and contact us again at sales@ittworld.com. And I want to throw out something a little different, and this is maybe for those that are still watching. If you're a pastor and you've never experienced a river cruise, we would highly recommend that you would email us to let us know that you're interested. And we're putting together a promotional trip that's going to be for 2025 for pastors, group organizers, so that it's a familiarization tour, so you can familiarize yourself and experience one of our river cruises at a highly, highly, highly discounted price. And this gives you an opportunity to see it, taste it. Again, we've talked a lot about food on this live stream, but an opportunity for you to see it and experience it, and then be able to share it with others and plan your next trip. So if you would, please reach out to us and email us your contact information at sales@ittworld.com. We would love to add you to our list and know that you're interested, and so we can start sending you some details for 2025 for our familiarization trips. And if you're already looking and planning trips for the future, we have, as Sherry said, we pretty much have sold out about 80% of our sailings through May. I believe we've got some still for July onward in 2025. And we do have some space also for the Christmas markets as well. And then for 2026, then we already have probably, I would say, at least a dozen, if not maybe 16 different departure dates and sailings available that we can start providing details for 2026. So as Sherry had mentioned, plan ahead at least a year to a year and a half. It helps yourself and it helps us to be able to confirm space that's going to be necessary.
So bouncing back to the pastors, as you can imagine, those spots typically fill up pretty quick for those familiarization type tours. So I would get your request for some more information in as quick as possible so that we can get that to you.
Sounds wonderful.
So
I can't thank you enough, Tim, for your time and doing this. For Zach Rickart behind the scenes, making this all possible, thank you. And we look forward to hearing from you.
yeah, and we'll be doing these live streams, I think, weekly, every Tuesday, if I'm not mistaken, at 3 p.m. So keep that on your calendar if you'd like to hear about all the new opportunities that we have to travel, some of the old ones that we have to travel. We've just got a lot that we're going to be able to be sharing with you weekly, including some on-site visits that we have coming up.
We're going to Greece.
We're headed to Greece next week, so look forward to spending some time with you guys here in a couple of weeks in Greece.
And then we also have Dr. John Delancey. I believe he's going to be speaking with us next week. We have to reconfirm that, but I believe that's the case. So he's going to be able to share. He actually was just recently in Israel and Jordan as well, and he still has some trips that are coming up. We do have groups that are still, I know it's crazy to say this, but traveling to Israel. We have a group in Israel right now, and they've had a wonderful trip and felt safe. That's our first and foremost, is making sure that things are safe for our clients. Ultimately, nobody wants anybody to have a bad experience, but we're going to talk about other destinations as well, Greece and so forth, and of course continue on with river cruises.
Yeah. So thanks for tuning in with us. We look forward to visiting with you guys again next week. And as always, if you have any questions, you can email those into sales@ittworld.com, and we'll try to get those answers for you on our next live stream.
Sounds perfect.
Great.
Thank you.
Thank you.